Okay, so get ready because today we are going all in on Zecharia Sitchin's Earth Chronicles series.
Oh,
You know I love a good ancient astronaut theory,
right.
and you've always been fascinated by ancient history and mysteries, so buckle up.
Yeah.
We're talking Sitchin's ideas about ancient astronauts from Sumerian texts, and we've got excerpts from The 12th Planet, Stairway to Heaven, Wars of Gods and Men.
Oh,
We've
wow.
even got the Lost Realms and the End of Times in the mix.
Okay.
Plus, we've got some diagrams to help us visualize everything.
Sounds good.
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's jump right in.
Okay.
So what Sitchin does so brilliantly is he takes these ancient Sumerian tales that are often dismissed as just myths and interprets them as literal history. And that becomes the bedrock of his whole narrative about the Anunnaki.
Exactly. And for those who maybe aren't familiar, the Anunnaki are these advanced beings from a planet called Nibiru.
Oh yeah, Nibiru. That's the supposed 12th planet in our solar system
Right.
with this crazy orbit.
Yeah, it's wild.
Swings through only once every 3,600 years.
Right. Every 3,600 years.
And they weren't just like popping by to say hi.
No, no.
According to Sitchin, they needed something.
They needed something from Earth. And it wasn't, to conquer or enslave us, at least not at first. They were after gold. Gold. But here's the thing. They needed it for their atmosphere.
What?
Yeah. Apparently it was deteriorating. And gold, according to Sitchin's interpretation, was vital for their planet's survival.
So they're not just greedy space overlords.
They're just greedy.
It's like a survival thing.
Desperate,
Yeah.
a civilization on the brink.
So less War of the Worlds, more like a sci-fi survival story.
Right, exactly.
It reminds me of that part in The Wars of Gods and Men when Sitchin describes Nibiru's gravity pulling on this planet called Tiamat.
Oh, yeah.
And it rips it apart, which eventually leads to the creation of Earth and the Moon.
Right. It's like cosmic billiards.
It's wild. And this whole cataclysmic event ties into the Enuma Elish,
Yes.
which is the ancient Sumerian creation myth.
Exactly. It's like he's found this missing link between myth and reality.
I love it. Okay, so we've got this rogue planet.
Right.
We've got these Anunnaki who need gold to survive.
They need gold.
But it gets even wilder.
Okay, I'm strapped in. Tell me more.
Sitchin claims that in order to get all this gold, they needed us.
Us.
Yeah.
Humans.
Okay, so he says they genetically engineered humans
Wow.
by splicing their DNA with early hominids.
Like we're talking full-on genetic manipulation.
Oh, yeah. They created us as a workforce to mine the gold.
I mean, it's a wild theory, but it's kind of brilliant.
It is. And we even have diagrams like Figure 2 that shows the layout of their cities in ancient Mesopotamia.
No way. Let me see that.
Yeah, check this out.
That's incredible. So they just plopped down right here on Earth and started building.
They had their own cities, their own infrastructure. It was a whole thing.
Wow. And to think this is all based on his interpretation of these ancient texts.
That's what's so fascinating about Sitchin. He took these ancient stories that most people just kind of brushed off as mythology, and he said, what if this is real history? What if this actually happened?
Yeah. I mean, this whole idea of humans being created rather than just evolving naturally.
Right.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It really makes you rethink our whole place in the universe.
For sure. And speaking of creation, Sitchin talks about two key figures, Enki and Enlil.
Oh, yeah. Enki and Enlil fill us in.
So Enki was this brilliant scientist,
Okay.
but he was sympathetic to humans.
Interesting.
And Lil, on the other hand, was more authoritarian and wasn't so keen on us being created in the first place.
Okay, so you've got this kind of like good cop, bad cop dynamic going on.
Right. It's almost biblical, isn't it?
It totally is,
Yeah.
especially that whole thing about Ninhursag, the healing goddess, and her many attempts to get the human design just right.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't a one-and-done situation.
Right, like she's in the lab tweaking things, trying again and again.
Exactly. Sitchin suggests that there was this deliberate, almost scientific approach to our creation.
Which I'm sure resonates with anyone who's familiar with the Adam and Eve story.
It's like Sitchin saying, hey, what if those stories aren't entirely fictional? What if they're echoes of something truly extraordinary?
Right, what if there's more to it than we realize?
And it doesn't stop there.
Of course not. There's always more.
Sitchin says that the Anunnaki didn't just create us, they also left behind traces of their advanced technology.
Okay, like what?
He points to the pyramids, specifically the ones at Giza, as potential landing beacons for their spacecraft.
Wait, so the pyramids weren't tombs?
Not according to Sitchin. He thought they served a much grander purpose.
Like what?
Well, he He emphasizes their precise alignment, that unusual 52-degree angle, and suggests that it points to a function beyond what traditional Egyptology proposes.
So like a giant welcome to Earth sign for spacefaring beings. Wow. And remember that diagram, figure 13, I think it was?
Yeah.
The one that shows the supposed flight path from a spaceport,
Oh, yeah.
possibly in the Sinai Peninsula, to a mission control center in Nippur.
Right. Sitchin envisions this whole network of these sites across ancient Mesopotamia, all connected to the Anunnaki's interstellar activities.
So they were flying all over the place.
They were commuting.
Like it was nothing.
I know, right?
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. Okay, so we've got potential lab experiments with humans.
Right.
Spaceports disguised as pyramids.
It's like Sitchin took every ancient mystery and gave it an alien twist.
He did. But if they were so advanced, why haven't we found more concrete proof?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
And it's something that Sitchin tries to address.
Okay, how so?
Well, he suggests that a lot of the evidence is either lost to time or we just haven't interpreted it correctly.
Okay.
He says we're looking at these ancient texts and artifacts through too narrow a lens.
So we're missing the signs.
Yeah, we're missing the advanced technology that's hidden in plain sight.
Like trying to solve a futuristic puzzle, but we've only got the Stone Age instruction manual.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say, for argument's sake, that Sitchin's right.
Okay.
What happened to these Anunnaki? Did they just pack up and leave Earth to fend for itself?
That's a great question. And Sitchin suggests that they did eventually leave.
They did.
But not before leaving their mark on human civilization.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, he sees their influence everywhere. In ancient mythology, in technology, even in the structure of our societies.
Yeah.
It's like they were these unseen architects shaping our development.
That's fascinating. He even connects them to the Mayan calendar, right? Yes.
He does. Like they had this advanced knowledge of astronomy and Nibiru's orbit.
Right.
And they left us this cosmic clock counting down to something.
Exactly. And that brings us to Sitchin's end of times theory.
Oh, yeah. The return of Nibiru.
He believed that Nibiru's return, whenever that might be, would have a profound and potentially catastrophic impact on Earth.
Like a celestial reset button.
Exactly. And he ties this back to the Tower of Babel story.
Oh, right. How so?
Well, he suggests that the Tower of Babel represents a conflict among the Anunnaki themselves.
Okay.
Possibly involving Marduk wanting to establish his own spaceport.
Another power play.
Right? Another power play and a long line of them, according to Sitchin.
So it wasn't all peace and harmony amongst these advanced beings.
Not at all. Sitchin highlights this constant power struggle amongst the Anunnaki.
It wasn't just this harmonious knowledge sharing.
Right.
There were rivalries, jealousies, and conflicts that played out on a cosmic scale.
And I'm guessing humans got caught in the crossfire.
A giant flood wiping out most of humanity wasn't exactly ideal.
No kidding. But maybe it's a good thing they left.
What do you mean?
Well, if they were constantly fighting amongst themselves, maybe their leaving was actually a good thing for us. A clean break, you know?
That's an interesting way to look at it. It does make you wonder, though, were we better off with them gone? Or would their continued presence have led us down a different path?
Right, like maybe one with greater advancements, but also greater risks.
Exactly. It's a question with no easy answers.
So many questions. Okay, but let's go back to this whole Great Flood thing. Sitchin claims it wasn't just some natural disaster. He says it was a consequence of Nibiru's gravitational pull on Earth's ice caps.
Right. It's like the ultimate cosmic fender bender.
Right. And here's the kicker. Sitchin suggests that the Anunnaki knew it was going to happen.
They knew.
They knew about this impending disaster. They knew about the danger, but chose to save themselves.
Oh, wow.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
They create us, they mess with our planet, they know a catastrophic flood is coming, and they just peace out.
Pretty much.
That's cold. Even for gods.
It does make you question their motives, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like Sitchin is saying, don't get too cozy with those ancient aliens tropes.
Yeah.
This wasn't some benevolent intervention.
Right.
This was a messy, complex interaction with some serious consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it forces us to grapple with some uncomfortable questions. If an advanced civilization did influence our past, were they looking out for us, or were we just pawns in a much larger game?
Right. It's a lot to process. Okay, but let's go back to the evidence or the lack thereof for a second.
Okay.
Let's say for the sake of argument that the Anunnaki deliberately covered their tracks, or that the evidence is just too subtle for us to recognize right now.
Okay.
Could their influence be hiding in plain sight, woven into the fabric of our culture.
That's precisely what Sitchin proposes.
Really?
He argues that their influence isn't just in pyramids or ancient Sumerian texts,
Right.
but in the recurring themes of mythology across cultures.
Like what kind of themes?
Well, think about it. Those stories of gods and goddesses, of celestial beings descending to Earth, of floods and creation myths,
Yeah.
those could be echoes of actual events distorted through generations of oral tradition.
So you're saying that our collective memory, even the stories we tell our children, might hold clues to this ancient interaction.
Exactly. It's like on some subconscious level, humanity has never forgotten its connection to the stars.
Or the beings who came from them.
Right.
So if they did influence our past, what does it mean for our future? Especially with this whole Nibiru's return thing looming.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. That end of time scenario is a bit hard to shake.
Understandably.
And Sitchin wrote a whole book about it, right? Laying out his interpretations of those cyclical patterns in ancient texts, linking them to potential cataclysms.
He did. And while it's easy to dismiss those predictions as doom and gloom prophecy, remember Sitchin's emphasis on cyclical patterns.
Right. Destruction followed by creation.
Exactly. Floods giving way to new civilizations. Maybe their return, if it does happen, isn't something to fear, but a catalyst for a new era, a new chapter in human evolution.
So instead of an apocalyptic ending, maybe it's more like a cosmic plot twist.
Right, a chance for humanity to reconnect with its origins.
Even if those origins are a bit more extraterrestrial than we're used to.
Exactly.
So we've gone from ancient Sumerian texts to spaceport pyramids to a potential cosmic reunion. What a ride.
It's been quite the journey.
It has. And if there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that Zecharia Sitchin knew how to tell a story.
Absolutely. He was a master storyteller.
Yeah.
He took these fragments of ancient wisdom, combined them with his interpretations, and created a narrative that continues to captivate us even decades later.
It's like he's saying, hey, what if everything you thought you knew about history was just the tip of the iceberg? What if there's this whole other grander, more mysterious story just waiting to be uncovered?
Exactly. And whether you agree with his conclusions or not, you have to admire his ability to weave together science and mythology, history, and speculation.
Right. It's intriguing.
He created this tapestry that sparks the imagination and makes us question our place in the universe.
He definitely challenges the traditional narrative, but here's the thing. Even if we entertain the possibility that he might be onto something, it still leaves us with more questions than answers.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sitchin didn't want to just hand us a finished puzzle.
Right.
He wanted to give us the pieces and let us try to put it together ourselves.
So after this deep dive into Sitchin's Earth Chronicles, what pieces stand out to you the most? What parts of our world today, our technology, our beliefs, even our understanding of what it means to be human, might hold echoes of those ancient visitors from Nibiru? That's something we'll leave you to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the heart of the ancient astronaut theory.